Morning, YouTube. It's man Louis George Page coming to you live on YouTube. Right now, this is not about bodybuilding talk. This is about something else. As you know, last night was the Super Bowl. You know, I didn't watch it because I don't watch football like that anymore, like I used to when I was younger. And also, part of the Super Bowl was the halftime show with Bad Bunny. I've heard this guy. I've heard some of his music too. It's pretty good. I'm not a big fan, but he's a pretty good artist. Kid just won a bunch of Grammys just about, was it last month or was it early this month? I think it was early this month. And he did pretty good. He's from Puerto Rico. And for people who are ignorant, Puerto Rico is a United States territory, meaning it's almost like a state. It's been a state for over 100 years. When the United States took it from the Spaniards back in the late 1900s, when it's 19th century, when the century's changing. So the start of the end of the 1900s, the start of the 20th century, end of the 1800s to start the 1900s. It's been U.S. territory since 2017. That's 109 years old. So people like Bad Bunny have been traditionally American citizens for a long time. The current president, his mother's from Scotland. His father's father was originally from Germany, and he's only technically 1/3 of a first American. Well, not second generation, 1/3 of an immigrant American, because being his father's German by his father, and his mother's is Scottish. And he even the dumb ass watched the Super Bowl. He talked shit about it. He watched it, but he didn't watch the shit that they had played the same time. That Kid Rock trash. You had a country singer using rap. I've seen clips. I didn't watch the shit. I've seen clips. I mean, it popped up my timeline on YouTube or IG. I watch it, and I said, some people made some fun of it. And Kid Rock has been relevant since the late 90s, early 2000s. He was married to Pam Anderson for half a minute, and they got divorced. And then, all this other shit, and he always has used our culture to make him famous. He came from a family that was rich people. His father owned businesses. He's a kid with silver spoon in his mouth. He never really, other than doing this, he did this as a Luke, for the side. And most of it was probably paid by his daddy. Unlike someone also from around Michigan and Detroit, Eminem, whose family didn't have anything. And Eminem, that's why I love him. That's why I love him. He stands up and he believes in. Now another person that M knows that he also put on is 50 Cent. And 50 Cent, I'm not gonna listen to your music anymore, brother. I know I love you. I used to love 50, especially when you hear something like that. But on my playlist, I used to use when I go work out in the gym, I got quite a lot of 50 Cent songs. I cut him out, Kanye, Snoop, even Ice Cube. You guys, you sold your soul to somebody like Donald Trump, and you did. And you can talk about how the Democrats are wishy-washy, they don't listen to my plan. You're a rapper. Yes, you know about the business stuff like that, but you're a rapper. No one will take you serious as you think they do. Are we there yet? Come on. Cube. I know your boy Dre's like, you looking both at Snoop and you say like, I don't get it. I don't know. But anyway, I came on here just to give my thoughts on this. And also a little situation that happened earlier last week when the dumbass in chief posted a meme of the Obamas, Barack and Michelle. You dirty, stinking piece. I mean, God. And people, are you stupid? This man's been racist for years. He enriched himself from rich black people like Spike Lee, Oprah Winfrey, a lot of celebrities, especially when he had his businesses, his casinos. Mike Tyson, you won too. Mike, I love you, Mike. I'm a big fan of you, but I don't have much respect for you. Maybe I'm not a big fan of Holyfield. Maybe he deserved to knock your ass out. Maybe he deserved to give you money because after that whole thing, Jake Paul thing, you could have beat that boy, Mike. Even if you are 58 years old, you could have beat that boy. Look what Anthony Joshua, a man from Great Britain, a brother from the other side of the ocean whooped that boy's ass. You could have done it too. No matter how old you are, you held back. I'm not saying you want to make your payday, you want to get money, but man, you just tarnish your legend. I just like I said, whatever respect I have you, Mike, I just don't. It's just like so. Any rest of you, coon acting, tap dancing, Sam Jackson from Django characters, Nicki Minaj, you too. It's sad. And you're gonna think about this when his presidency ends and the next person come in. Don't try to push yourself on this person and grease yourself on that. But anyway, go back to the Bad Bunny. I see some of the clips, and I didn't watch it because, like I said, I don't watch Super Bowl, and also my TV. I watch mostly antenna television, so my TV doesn't get NBC network. I think it's on ABC, but it wasn't on CBS. So what was on? It wasn't on network television this time. I think it was on ESPN have or something. I don't know. It used to be either on Fox, or I think or CBS used to have it, or NBC or ABC. It was on either one, so it had to be on NBC because something like that. They don't want to show it too much on like any kind of cable network because some people may not watch cable, so they want to put it on a regular regular network, not cable but regular television network. So I think it was on the NBC. I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comment section. I don't pay attention. Congratulations to Seahawks. Not since Russell Wilson had to win a Super Bowl in maybe years. So and to the Patriots, may you rest in shit. I'm not a fan of the Patriots. I know some people are. I think my man Exe Gucci, he's a Patriot fan. Sorry, little brother. No, not your days of pretty Tom Brady days are over. And I think the old coach Belichick was denied to get into the Football Hall of Fame. Well, I don't know why. We know why. Cheating. But anyway, people out there, I know a lot of you guys are more about my bodybuilding stuff. Yes, I'm gonna have a live later today. You want to join in and give your thoughts. As you know, this is Black History Month. And Black History is celebrated every year because my ancestors, the people that brought here over 400 years ago, who were drugged from their homes, took it, and made slaves. And here's the thing, I had to make somebody say, those digit servitude, but that's in other countries. Even back when the Romans and the Greeks were doing slavery, you could climb up from a slave and get your freedom. Even become a functioning citizen in Roman and Greek communities. Even the Egyptians and the Africans, they had slaves, but then it was you work and you go home. You weren't as beaten and whipped and beat down compared to those things. And then you made enough. Sometimes you became your own businessman because you first started slave and climb up. You climb up the caste system. That's the history of it. But America took it and he twisted it. And they took it. They took people and beat them down, denied them the right, tell them what they believed, and they twisted it. That's why I'm not very religious. I got faith, but I'm not religious. I don't have no focus in churches. The churches can do this. And you watch these like that guy Drewski with the whole thing with the pick up the mega church. People got mad about it, but the thing is, it's based on what comedians do things based on what's out there in the world, what they see and what they hear. Evidence is out there with some of these preachers. Remember years ago when they had that hurricane that hit Houston? My mom used to love this guy, Joel Osteen. And then they wanted to use his church for the people. He said, "Nah, I can't use church." But this man who owned a furniture store, he let people stay and sleep there. He had to eventually give his furniture because some people are not too clean. But he did that. And he fed those people. And he had to do it because he did it because he was a good neighbor. You don't have to be religious just to be a good person, want to do good things. And there's some people right now who are not good people. Now, people I know, you're saying, when is he gonna die? When is he gonna? If you ever know anything about somebody who's been on, who have some issues like congestive heart failure, like I do, you can live for a good while. I'm on disability because I have a pacemaker, and most places don't want to hire you if you have that. And that's the hard part about getting work if you're on disability. And what disability is something that I put in for over 30 years of working. Over 30 years, because I've been working since I was a child. Most of the jobs I worked was not on paper, straight cash. But later, my jobs I worked were, I got, taken out for tax since I was working since I was 16, you know. So that means I've been practically working over 30, just about 30 years or more. I stopped working around about, a little after my mom got sick because I need to take care of her. And my family, uh, they felt like, you know what, you need to go ahead because I know you had the issue there and go ahead and apply for it. And it took a while. And it happened. Yeah, I appreciate that. Because you know what? That's the thing about this country. We're supposed to help the people who need it the most, be it the old, the elderly, children. Your mom says the old is elderly, the elderly, the handicapped, children, men, women, anybody who's going through hard times. Why do we pay taxes for? Why do we look at these politicians? They ain't gonna do shit half the time, and unless there's enough of us to put some pressure on them. But the problem is, they get too much money in their pocket for these rich people. And these rich people don't want to have somebody in the office that can maybe make it harder for them. Hey, you're rich, you're wealthy. It's not lifestyle hard to you. You can't take it with you, and your kids not can't spend it all. If they do, then they're doing some shit that you know. And right now, this man is sitting here, probably the richest man when he gets out of office, because he knows once he croaks, his children ain't gonna do shit. They don't know nothing else but the con and the grift, you know. And here's the thing about Donald Trump. This is the reason why he doesn't like law and justice in the court system, because he has more losses than wins. He has some people that give up because they don't want to fight, but then there's the people that say, you know what, they don't want to have the courage to fight. Some people, sometimes he can say, you know what, let me take you to court, let me show you something. And then, he'll eventually give up. He won't pay your money back, but hey, he'll eventually give up because the fact is he lost. He's a loser. And you voted for it. Now you're mad about it. Now you're mad about this. You didn't know the whole time. Watch this thing with me. He said he voted for 3 times. You know what he was. But because he told you he's going to do this and do that, do this and do that, you say, okay, we'll vote you back in. He shouldn't have been in office in the first place. And this goes back to the issue with Bad Bunny. He's not a bad dude. He's a young man who had a history of a story coming from struggles, hardship. And that's what what makes a great leader, who's someone who's came from hardship, who's been through the muck and the hell and everything else, and still standing, And that's why somebody like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, most definitely I would say Kennedy, not so much Kennedy because he came from his family got a little better in wealth, but still had to climb their way up. Even guys like Nixon, he came from a poor family. But then he got corrupted. And it's easy to be corrupted if you're a good man, because things are so, it's a great opportunity for you. But Barack Hussein Obama came in when I'm watching videos people posted every so often, because I don't want to cry. And I do cry because he's just a good man. It's the whole, I've seen the whole version of it, but it's with Rachel Maddow. And she's talking about all the things he did. You can catch it on YouTube. I shared it a few times, and it hits so hard when you hit it. I want to use that. I would love to use the the background music for my next reels on my IG. But it hits so hard when you hit it, because when she's dropping all these facts, and you're hearing like, I know a lot of people try to find it on here on YouTube. You find the whole version, long version, but the version you think about is mostly on IG, and you're hearing that. Somebody tell me if y'all know where that background music from that, I would love to use that for my next reel. Send it to me to my IG, because I would love to, when I make my next reel, I want to use that. And you know what? And people who even supported this, the crap they had, Charlie Clerk, Charlie Jerk, another person who can rest in shit. I can say it like that. His wife right now, it says somebody say she's pregnant. Somebody else got her pregnant because you know what? Here's the story. And I heard this. This is what somebody else. She was messing with. You see this chick? She's good looking. I ain't gonna lie. I'm still a guy, but you know what? She married this guy who looked like there's a teeth like I don't want teeth out here like who would marry that? There was an arranged marriage. And she said, oh my God. And then and she finds some dude who looks like Michael Hearn. You know who Michael Hearn is. He's in that movie Magazine Dreams. He's a bodybuilder. She'll go jump on somebody like that, kind of like with the first lady. There's a video of them when they're dancing, their first dance, after the inauguration. And then there's a part where they show another video where she's dancing with this soldier. I've said this before. Tall, good looking, blonde with the head high fade cut, and she's smiling like, and she's thinking about her head, say, I want you to run me over, And she put that stink ass movie. And the guy from Amazon put all that money to it. Michelle Obama has a documentary out. It's on Netflix. That documentary has more views and more watches. And when you hate someone like on that, people say, you know what? Why are you hating on them? So let me go here and say, you know what? That's a decent person. We would love to see Michelle run for president, but she's not going to do it. She see what it did to her husband. We all know. We would love, if it was a way for Obama to run one more time, please, Mr. Obama. So we act like that crackhead from Mr. Say, Mr. Obama, please, I do anything, come back and run for president. I even suck, yo. No, we're not going to get that far, but that's the attempt of it, because we're in another mess, and we have to survive the next 2 years and almost 3 years, because his term ends January of the 21st of 2029. Whoever becomes president, don't waste your time visiting him. Do this. When you win the election, don't do the whole go visit them in the White House shit. Go visit a group of people. Go visit kids in school. Go talk to other people. Don't waste because you're gonna go in that White House and be stink ass. That man's farting and passing gas and and defecated on himself. You saw that video with the woman that was sitting all behind him. She like, the one thing they showed like they were standing around him, Dr. Oz's granddaughter. She's about to puke. These people know what they smell of it. So they just anybody with any kind of self-respect. Any kind of man with self-respect for themselves, you're not a man. You're a bitch. You should be just put on the street with some lipstick and a halter top. You're the type of guy that, you're soft and squishy. Guys in prison, you're soft and squishy. Don't got much hair on you. And you're like the guy, like the episode where you remember the Boondocks, when you go to prison saying, you didn't like it. You're gonna, like, I love these stroke his hair and kiss him, but I ain't like it. But that's the thing; those are the type of guys that are, they are the bitches, and you see the prison. They're the ones who's getting dancing and whatever. Say, hey, that's my man XA. I'm sorry, my man KL. Say, hey, KL. Say hi. I want to see if I can wave it up. Okay, no. Say, wait a minute. Say hi. How you doing? Do you watch the Bad Bunny thing, or are you busy? We're gonna do a little something. Me and him. Shout out to me and my man KL. The one we're gonna do a little. It's been a while since I've been doing my perfect sage mode. So Saturday around 10 o'clock, we're gonna do a little love and hate. Live stream on some about women with muscle, bodybuilders like that. The love and hate, because we love you, but sometimes we hate you. Especially when we do interviews, reach outs like that, or just because of the fact of how y'all acting. Now, I already talked about another video, but I'm not going to go with details into it, but y'all want to check it out. I'm going to post it later in the week. And, I heard about Bad Bunny. Yeah, I heard some of his music because I remember the first time I heard it was my friend Glenn. I call him a friend, yeah. Glenn, who runs Amazon Fitness Magazine. He was doing a photo shoot, and I came through because I think it was like the time when I came through. Just he was talking about stuff because that was maybe a few weeks before he did his debut for the magazine, and he was doing a photo shoot with this girl. She was kind of cute, she was in the army. I think she was a wellness amateur. I don't know if she competes anymore. And he was playing some of it during the photo shoot. It was like, he says he works also in the school system, and a lot of the kids he worked around with like that music. And that's what the reason. This is the reason why they did that thing, because the children, next generation. Not us old folks. They said we had Kendrick Lamar last year. That's pretty good. And Bad Bunny did records. He did over 140 views for that halftime show. He beat Kendrick by at least 10 million more views because of the controversy of it. Even though Kendrick's a bit controversial, but the fact is, black people are always going to be controversial. They're going to always hate on music. Who's going to be next year? Anyone else going to top that? They'll get somebody, but it's not going to be as good as the last two Super Bowl halftime shows they had with both Kendrick and Bad Bunny. It's going to be just maybe somebody who's maybe popular at the time, somebody, maybe old school for a lot of the old folks who might want to watch and listen to it. But generally, you want to like I'm not a big fan of Reggie Goodell, especially how he messed up the Pro Bowl and whatever else like that and stuff he did. But he understands, and because he has Jay-Z helping him out on that, that the fact is you have to go what's popular. You want to bring in, just like with bodybuilding needs to do that. If you bring in new generation, new people, and make it exciting, then people will come see it. The other thing is you have to make it worth people wanting to see it. You know, what's it got? What's that? You know, I don't have a look at it. Let's see. So the thing is, people have want to see it. You know, yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't really watch Super Bowl like that either. Like I used to when I was younger. I know my sister, she had a little thing, but I didn't come because my nephew this morning dropped me off a plate from it. He knew I might want something because my sister always looks out for me. She's my big sister. She's my foster mother. She, like I said, growing up, people thought she was my mother. But the thing is, it's about the next generation, not so much about this generation, my generation or my parents' generation or their generation, the generation after that. It's about this next generation, the young people who are into that music, who's into that artist. Like I said, I know quite a few ladies who are not Spanish, who are bodybuilders, who play Bad Bunny in some of their reels. Don't be surprised you start seeing next competition, you hear somebody, maybe the Olympia, somebody playing Bad Bunny in their posing routine. This brother's going to shoot up. He's going to be good high for a good bit. And whoever becomes the next president, what you got to do is this. You got to make Mexico the 51st state. Not Mexico, sorry. Puerto Rico the 54th state. You have Bad Bunny, Jennifer Lopez, John Leguizamo there, Rosie Perez, every Puerto Rican celebrity, business person, just figure there for that signing. That's up to you, Kamala. Either you or Newsom. But I think Kamala's going to get it, and Newsom might be a good running mate. She did have Tim Walz. Tim Walz right now, he's a little bit of a scandal, so he might get a job in the cabinet. I think he'd be good, Secretary of Labor. He understands about what people need. But people, why are you wasting energy hating on something you don't know? If you don't want to educate yourself or be informed, But you can't help the stupid. You can't fix stupid, as they say. I had an interview with a young lady last night, and she went through a lot in her life. Her name is Nikki. Nikki is an aspiring fighter and also aspiring for wrestling. She went through a lot with her family. Her mother died dealing with a drug overdose, and her family doesn't support her. But she's a nice young lady. Yes, she fights. She also does a little stripping on the side. She's cute. I mean, she probably good to the change as a stripper. She's a little white girl. Here's the thing. When I worked at the strip club, if you're a white girl with a bit of booty on you, you can make a good chunk of change. You're mostly going to get mostly only black dudes and some of the younger white dudes. Mostly older white dudes like black women. Used to be this guy coming through. That's all we had one girl, her name was Applebottom. She was actually lumpy, but she could pass for white. Big hips, big old butt, pretty. But most of her clientele was mostly the black dudes, younger dudes, and every now and some white dudes every now and then. But older white dudes, you like for black women. Because that's how many of them grew up around and that's her race. He says, I watched some of that interview, sad. Yeah, but you know what? She's doing pretty good for herself. She's with Booker T. Thata. Mr. Booker T. Remember, everybody remember that, it still played that when, I gotta send the clip. I know, I gotta send it to her. When, if y'all remember back in the day, WCW, I used to watch wrestling when I was growing up. WCW was pretty good. And they had the interview with Gene Oakland. Gene Oakland, Stevie Ray, Booker's brother, and you had Sherry Martel, aka Sister Sherry. And they were standing because remember Sherry was their manager back in the day. And they were talking about Lex Luger and the Giant coming out of their belts, tag team belts, I think they had at the time. And then they say, Hulk Hogan, we're coming for you, nigga. I mean, he just like, he had to say, like, but back then, Hulk was really tan, so, I couldn't, but, and this thing, I would love to, I think somebody asked them, I don't know if they did, why they call them Harlem Heat when they're from Houston? They're from Houston, Texas. But the thing is, people think about black people we're in the South. you know. But the but it's just so easy quick. Like you could say Houston Heat, but Harlem Heat sound, and a lot of those, promoters stuff in the South are very racist and whatever else, and that's what it is. But that's a whole nother story. He says she needs to fall back on something other than fighting. Anything could happen. The thing is, that thing with anything, fighting is her thing. It's like bodybuilding. It's a passion. What's she gonna fall back on? She has no interest in anything else. She's already aspiring to want to be a wrestler. The thing is, you can never tell somebody what they want she should do. You can suggest, they have an idea, but she's doing what she wants to do. And if she gets successful in it, that's great. And if her family starts saying, yeah, you want, then fuck them. If they want to just around her bandwagon, that's on them. But the thing is, she does it because it's a passion. That's the thing about passion. You do it because you want to do it. Anybody could get hurt anytime. Come on. You get hurt walking the street. She does that because, you're going to get hurt. And some fighters love the punch in the feel or the blood in their mouth. They love it. They live for it. He said, good, I am George. I'm looking forward to today. Oh, okay. I understand. Yeah, you understand that. Yeah. It's a passion. You love it. Same as ladies who lift weights. Same as anybody competitor who does any kind of sport. They understand they might get a chance. You can get hurt in training. You can drop a foot on your weights. I've seen ladies who got hurt training. Not just fighters, bodybuilders too. Jogging, breaking your leg. You get hurt anytime. But you get hurt doing something you love. Boxers get hurt. My man Jeff coming through. Shout out to Jeff. Hope he comes by. He also should go check out Jeff. He's planning on doing maybe some podcasts, stuff like that. Hoping the best on him. He's from my home state of North Carolina. He's another Tar Heel like myself. But says, can we talk about Nat or not the previous video? Nah, not today, brother. This is not for that. We can talk about another time, but not today. He says she still needs to fall back on something for her life. But the thing is, sometimes you can fall back on something and it not work out. That's the thing. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much you say, I got a set plan. And like I said with my other guy said, I have a plan, but it's what? I never have a plan. I just do. Yeah. One night, brother, we're talking about something else. You just, it's not no bodybuilding right now, so I think just hold back a little bit. We talk about, another time. Yeah, another time, please. Yes, we talk about it another time. So, this is one of my me being all the way to the page. But thing like it, if you fall back something, it may not work out either. That's the thing. You don't know how things. There's people who set things and ideas and don't work out. Now she's thinking about being a wrestler. Why not stick to fighting? She might get a deal. Right now she's talking about doing some bare knuckle. I just watched a fight with a couple ladies in bare knuckle. They're very beautiful ladies, very attractive. One got her tail whooped. Maybe she might even fight something, but she does it because she loves it. And you know what? Why do something because if you love it, somebody you have issue with, hey, it may not work out, but the thing is, you never know. And then you might have something, you might get a plan and fall back on it, then you just don't, it's just not you. I learned that sometime in my life too. There's things that I wish I should have done, but you know what? There's content, life is unpredictable. Yeah. Well, you're saying that she not do that, but tell her to fall back on something. Fall back on what? And you're saying that to me, tell her to fall back on what? What else can he fall back on? If it's if I'm silly about it, why you can call her silly too? She already have a plan, and sometimes she got her irons and rods and everything out there, and seeing what works. She's doing the fighting, she's doing the wrestling, well, she's not too young. She's 32 years old. Yes, we were much older, but when we were younger, we did silly things too, and it didn't work out. But then we learned. That's about life and experience. You learn. And nothing wrong. What's the thing about being young? She's not too young. She's not like she's a little child. She's a grown adult woman. We're a lot older than her, but we got to remember we were like that same preacher too. We were out there in the world. You did things in the world. Then you learn from that thing. That's the thing about youth. We learn till we get into the next life. We can either teach it to somebody or use it to prepare it for what's going on in the world. That's the thing about youth. That's the advantage. Like right now, I'm not going to go into details about it. Like I heard that Paula run somebody doing women's bodybuilding, and I get that little drop of that. She's young, and I met Paula. 26, about to be 27 this year. She has potential, but I think she got to be smart about doing this because it can be really draining. Maybe take some time off. But again, back to the situation with Bad Bunny. From clips I saw, it was a pretty good concert. It was pretty good. It was just a Super Bowl, halftime show. It was a concert. He put it on. Some people are going to hate it because the fact is, his statements we said about the ICE thing. I watched this video. It was actually in Hella Trevino's stories, where this young boy, he's 16 years old, and this guy, he's ICE agent, hits him with a butt of a gun, split this kid's wig. That's a child. It's 16. You're not old enough to vote. You can't drink. You can't smoke. You can get a license or a permit, but that's it. You're still under the care of your parents. 32. She still gets her education by his voice. Well, she's not interested in college. And again, college is not for everybody. Not everybody needs to go to college. Some people have to go do the work. You have somebody to go out here and fight. Let the people who want to do that do that. That's their choice. But not everybody's meant to go to school, go to college. Like I said again, she's not too young, but she's not too old. She's growing. In more 8 years, she can be 40. So so why not do it while you're still young and healthy? Because you know what, you get hit 40, the bones are creaking. This morning I got up and did my little exercises. It's tough when you feel like you got two bad knees, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You feel creaky and you hear things, but when you're young, your bones are still strong. You don't have a lot of strain. Stress is not as bad. You can do that. That's the advantage of youth. That's why most fighters and athletes retire after 40 or before 40, because after a while it takes a toll. If you've been doing this for a long time, even like my brother, he played football from he was a child up to he was in his 20s. And that does affect you after a while. I played sports. I worked, and, it does affect your body. So while you have that advantage of youth, use it. Don't waste it. Use it. You don't want me sitting down and be an old man, you're 40 or 50 saying like, I didn't do this. Why didn't I do that? Because that's the thing. Regret can be a bitch. But again, back to the situation, Bad Bunny. The brother did his thing. And everybody in the world watch it. And the world is watching America. Because at one point, this was the place where people look for the standard. Like I say this in my interviews with my lady, says, like for the movie Pretty Woman, the end of it, where the guy says, this is Hollywood. Everybody wants to come here. But now, no one's coming to Hollywood. This is now, it's a terror dome. It's like, all missing is Tina Turner saying, we need another hero. You go into the terror dome, 2 men enter, 1 man leave. And I'm not a big fan of Mel Gibson either. But the thing is, he's done something that most people would love to do. Be on one of the biggest stages, biggest events of the year. Football season over. Your basketball just started. Baseball just wound it up just about a few months ago. So you're gonna have that little spot where it's kind of like, you're excited. Not about the basketball fan, I'm not a big basketball fan. I used to be like you. I had a friend. She was more of a fan of college basketball than a professional basketball. But she's also a fan of pro football, but not a big fan of college football. She doesn't have to go to college. She just can't fight forever. She's not going to fight forever. No one fights forever. You fight as long as you can go. Guys like Ali, he kept fighting until he was in 40s. Guys like Mike Tyson, well, he had to quit after a while because after he got his tail whooped his last fight. Fighters go as long as they feel they can go. When that day they call, saying, you know what, I'm going to quit. That's the thing. If you know anything about a fighter, and I've done interviewed quite a few fighters, they go as long as they feel they can go, just like bodybuilders. But they don't, they don't have to worry about getting concussion, knocked out, or whatever else. They just, after a while, it does affect of whatever you take it in your training, it does affect you after a while, you quit. As one lady that we talked about, that I think she might be coming back. She hadn't confirmed it yet, but I think she's coming back. Because she says she's retired, but you don't keep in shape like you do, like you're going to get ready for a show, just because you're a coach. Come on. Even some people retire, they kind of cut back. Even most athletes who retire, they still work out of training, but not as vigorous as hard as it was if they were training for a football game or basketball game or a boxing match. He's still working. Even Mike Tyson still trains a bit, but not as hard like he used to. The thing is, it's like Rocky Balboa. I'm a fighter. That's who I know. That's who I am. Even though I'm not a big fan of Stallone, his politics, I have to separate Stallone from Rocky Balboa. Separate one man from another. And I see Sylvester Stallone is this actor who believes in this bullshit, while Rocky Balboa is somebody who's real inspiration. Oh, you mean talk about just well, just talking about Bad Bunny? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But also other things were going on here, like the whole shit what happened with the meme. You people who supported this shit and did turn around. Well, like Tim Scott. Tim Scott is from my neighbor from down south. That's North Carolina. You are Stephen from Django. You're the one who's talking about telling the Negro you were on the bed. And you are Stephen Django. You know, yeah. But I think it's more just about Bad Bunny. It's about what's going on in this country. And I'll get on here every now and talk about it. And Super Bowl was a big event, and people took it and used it and politicized it. Like when Kendrick Lamar did it, people say, "I understand what he's saying." It's not meant for you to understand. It's towards a certain group of people, be they young, be they Spanish, or just being somebody who's open-minded. If you're a person who's shut-minded in your idea and you believe that same old shit that you were told years ago, and you hadn't grown and evolved from that, then you're never going to grow involved. It's about being open-minded, being willing to understand somebody else's lifestyle, their country. You don't have to be perfect at it, but just in other words, just to be nice. You don't have to like it. Hey, don't say nothing about it. Pay no attention to it. Guys who post stuff about women bodybuilders, I tell them, hey, why you waste your time? They're gonna do what they're gonna do. If you got a problem with it, like anytime somebody puts stupid comments on some of my videos or my pictures, I delete it because you know what? You are ignorant, and I don't tolerate ignorance. Well, it's a good thing you watch it because you're curious. And the thing is, that's one thing. When people are curious about something, what's this all about? I don't, you watch it, and you say, wow, this is pretty good. I mean, what's the issue with this guy? He's very entertaining. You go some shit over another channel and say, not Chris Rock, Kid Rock. No one has heard you. Maybe Bomb Diddy. That's like almost 30 years ago, brother. I mean, yeah, you're not relevant anymore. You're just doing it because and you're kissing a pedophile ass because you are yourself probably a pedo. You probably are. That's why. And it's funny how you're outraged about a man who's a U.S. citizen singing in his the language of his territory. We're not outraged about when people victimize children. You talk about women getting abortions, but you don't stand up for children who are victims of sexual assault, of abuse. You worry about in the womb, but don't care about them when you come out of that womb. You decide what you feel like you need to be mad about. And like I said again to that lady, I respect you as a competitor, but like I said again, I don't respect what you think and you believe is the right thing. It's not. History's going to show that what you are on the wrong side, and you're going to realize that. She's a smart lady. She's going to realize it eventually. But right now, it's my best to keep my distance from you. So my support, anything you usually get from me, I might come back eventually to you. I might say, hey, yeah, like let bygones be gone, bygones. But right now, with the shit going right now, I need to distance myself from people like that. Quite a few bodybuilders I unfollow, I don't talk, I don't reach out, I don't even support. And maybe my support not much, but sometimes it starts with one person saying, you know what, enough's enough. You got to stop being ignorant. You got to understand this country is a country based on, like my man here, KR, his family came from Africa. They're Africans. They're African Americans. He's African American. Me, I'm Black American. My family were descendants of slavery. My family were sharecroppers. Before that, they were slaves. My father used to work security at schools and stuff like that. My mom worked, they also worked during the summer. They worked in the fields, sharecropping. Also, she worked hotels during the wintertime when the season was shut down. She had to feed us. We were living on welfare, and also what money we get for child care from my father for child support. Even though he wasn't around, in a way, he still supported me. I wish he was more around for me physically, especially when my teenage years and into my 20s, where I think most definitely where a young man needs his father. But I had my brother James, and I had my uncle Carl Bennett, and I had my granddad for a good bit till he passed when I was a teenager. And people I met and worked with, during the time, every little man that I met in my life had contributed to it. I appreciate those men because I learned something. This is a true story. I remember when we first moved up here into the projects. It was me, my brother, and my two nephews. We were young kids. And there was a lady who lived like a little house away from us, a little apartment, a couple apartments away from where we stayed. She said some stuff, and my uncle Carl Bennett heard it. he went to my mom. He called my mom, even though this is typically she's still his sister-in-law because she's still married to his brother, my father. He called her cousin Bert. He said like this, I love your boys. I heard something that, what's the first say something about your boys? I love your boys. They call me their Uncle Moose. That's his nickname. Uncle Carl is called Moose. But if she keeps running her mouth about my boys, I'll put a chain on her and have her howling like a dog. My mom told me that. He laughed. My Uncle Carl was wild. He was a good man. My grandfather was a good man. And my Uncle Sonny, when I found out he died, his name was Henry. All my life, I knew this man for over 40 years and didn't know till the day he died his name was Henry. Till I saw his obituary. And he was a good man. He used to bring, when he had a little garden, bring my mom fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. Him and my Aunt Pat. My Aunt Pat, needed more than I need to go visit her and say, hi, how you doing? I haven't been to her house in a while. That's the thing about this, people. There's good people out there. And Bad Bunny's a good man. He's a good young man. He's the same age as Nicki Ninja, 32 years old. And it took him from the early 2000s to now to get where he got to. You gotta think about it. The music business is tough. And yes, you see him wearing dresses like that. Prince, good example of that, who also had one of the most popular Super Bowl halftime shows. He used to wear hair, makeup, wear the high heels. People like he was gay. No, Prince was just his style. It was what this thing when you talk about when his sister, one of his sisters, talking about when we were young. Their dad used to wear it in strip clubs, rest bars. He used to, sometimes his dad used to take him because sometimes mom was working. So he hang around these women, and that's where he got his style from. Sometimes we got style from women because we'll be around, especially around other women. I would like to say growing up with I often say this, growing up with my older sisters, 3 of them, and my mom. And, I have an older brother there, but still we were mostly, a house of maybe kind of me, my brother, and my nephews, 5 boys, and there were 4 women in the house, and the women had control. We did our part. We appreciate that, but also they let us know that we still could be men and be boys and do what we need to do as men. Women can tell you what they think men should do, but we actually learn from men who know what we need to do. That's the difference. Women tell what they believe what men should do, and men tell us what we know we need to do. And he's a man. And he knows what he need to do. He need to do something outrageous. Even guys like David Bowie with Nikki Stardust. And David Bowie, remember if you watch that MTV, he called it the guy talking about why they don't play, rap and hip hop music during day but late at night. And in MTV now it's they say shut down now. I haven't watched it really in years, because most of us start showing reality shows and less music. They show like music early in the morning. After that, I think reality shows. Everybody has to have a gimmick, especially in this business, be it music, be it acting. Dennis Rodman, because people love attention and controversy. And this whole thing with him, it brought attention to him, to his music. He probably has picked up just from this last few months until tonight, more people listen to his music. If you don't speak Spanish, hey, like you said, he said doing Saturday Night Live open show. He said you got 4 months to learn. I know a little Spanish, mucho poquito, that. Very mucho poquito, not a lot, very very little, But the thing is, I'm willing to learn, By now, my age, it's not. But you know what? That'd be something to do. There's a Rosetta Stone. You can listen and learn Spanish. It's not much different between Spanish and like different languages have different tastes. Like someone from Argentina may be saying someone from Venezuela, and someone from Colombia might be saying somebody from Honduras. It's still somewhat same, but the cadence is a bit different. Some words will change different. Like for one thing, Brazilian is different from Portuguese, even though that's where the language originated from. Latin is the language that all of it originated from. So from Portuguese to Mexican, Spanish, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, because they were the ones, those two countries were the ones that had territories in this area, and America pushed them out to take their land, and then still those countries still speak that language. Cuba, they wanted to take over Cuba right after they took up Puerto Rico, but it couldn't happen because resources were stretched. You remember the Cuban American War, because they want to take that over, but they gave up because their resources were stretched. We had a relationship with them because Barack Obama did. But then Trump tried to, again, folks, this man was a mess, and you know it. But the fact is, he told you a lie. He lied about a woman. He lied about this and this and that. Now, this man is 2 feet from the grave. Now, he's going to finish his administration, probably. If he croaks halfway through it, the guy behind him, he's just as bad because he's a little bit smarter and he understands certain things more than he does. And there's that passive racist. They don't blatantly say they're racist. They kind of do stuff underhand. They're worse. But it's a good thing you know this man what he is. Yeah, good morning, George Page. Get off live, you bum. Hey, you get out of it, boy. Come on, boy. What about your Patriots there, boy? What about the Patriots, boy? They got beat by birds. Huh? And what about your you from that Boston area, boy? You're a bum, boy. Come on, say it to me. I can call you later, boy. Come on here, son. Come take your whooping like a man, which you not one. That's my little brother, XA Gucci 23. I'm a man, boy. I'm a real nigga, boy. I'm a country nigga, boy. You. I don't care. I'm not from the street. I'm from the country. Yeah, I knew New England lost bad last night. Yeah, they got mollywop. The pretty boy Tom Brady's not around anymore. Pretty Tom, pretty Tommy. That's what they call him. But the thing is, that's sports. It's entertainment. But people take it too seriously. But I think one thing was when Colin Kaepernick did what he did, that got a lot of attention. But the fact was, the brother did because he wanted to show the fact of what this country has been doing for years. The same stuff. It's not like where the old people die won't be racist. No, it's always going to be there because they teach it to the next generation. It's embedded in this country. That's why Barack Obama could only do so much. Because he had to fight against things and programs that have been set in this country for hundreds of years. It's going to take people to really wrap the change. Yes, people don't like the Democrats because they feel like they're too wishy-washy, things like that. But the thing is, they do try to do as much as they can within their reason. And then I watch this guy talking about, telling this guy, but you had control of both the White House, the Congress, the Senate, and also the Supreme Court. But you're not getting what you get out of it. The little 2008, and you had some guy who's not even a United States citizen messing in government things. That's dumbass Elon Musk, who didn't really invent most of the stuff. He got it from somebody else and paid for it and put his name on it. Maybe, but I feel like if she comes back and really had more time, I think it's gonna be Kamala Harris, because I think Gavin Newsom possibly, but I think towards Kamala Harris might get the nomination. Newsom has some stuff on him too that people don't like too much. He could make a great running mate, but and then maybe after 8 years of Harris, then he can probably get the presidency. That's a mistake they made with Joe Biden. Joe should have ran for 2016. I know he didn't do because his son died, Bo. If Bo had lived, if Bo had lived, he probably would have run. And did what John F. Kennedy did with his brother Bobby, made him his attorney general. And maybe Bo would have ran. We never know. But that's a mistake. He should have went ahead and ran. If he had ran, I think he would have beat Donald Trump. Then he ran in 2020, beat Donald Trump again, and we'll have never heard of him again because he couldn't take back-to-back losses. He's going to dig into the hole where he belongs. But I don't think Newsom might get maybe, but I feel like people really want to see what Kamala Harris can do. I think they really want to see what she can do. If she gets nomination and she wins it, because no one's going to vote for J.D. Vance. No. No one trusts a man with a beard. If he shaves his beard, he can look weird. No. It's the only thing that keeps his face looks, like I got. Well, I'm gonna shave this like later on because once it gets a little warmer. Right now it's cold. I like to keep some hair on me. I know like I know some of my nephews is like they like to keep themselves a haircut, clean cut, but me, nah. When it gets winter like this, I go into my first day like an animal. Then I've shaded. I bet you I shed it. Right now, this is something that keeps my face warm, keep my head warm. It's cold out there now. I wear a hat every now and then, but generally this is good. You know, you don't have to other than wash it every a couple of times out of the month, and that's about it. But you put this make this shit and get back to normal. Here, we're not ever going to get back to normal. It's going to be something new. There's no such thing as normal. Every so often it happens, like what happened with the pandemic. Things change. There's no such thing as a new normal, and there's no normal. It's just life, and we just got to adapt to it. He deserves to be in prison, but the problem is what happened was they made a mistake. Biden put the wrong person in the head of the AG. He should have made Merrick Garland become the judge he should have been, and I think Tarji Jackson would have been a great AG. She would have went after his tail. Black women don't play. Our sisters don't play. Or get somebody else. I think whoever comes next I think Jack Smith's going to be the next Attorney General. I can see him doing that, and then and I think a lot of these ICE guys, they're going to be like one thing. If you remember this history of what happened after World War II, after Nuremberg, a lot of the Nazis, even though they were following orders, they still were prosecuted because they're involved in heinous crimes of genocide, murdering people. A lot of these guys who are not really most of the guys just gave a badge and sent out there without training and understanding law. Those guys, like the guy who shot Renee Good, the guy who shot Predator, the guy the man who killed Keith Porter Jr., they're going to be, they know their protection is only for so long. Time's going to fly like that. And then they're going to have people calling, say, it's time. Justice is calling. They don't get away from wrong. If you get somebody who's a headhunter, they don't get them. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Like that guy, especially the FBI, a guy, Cash Patel, like, he like somebody, shrunk Debo he's like Debo's little brother. Like you got a cockeyed, you're like, I'm gonna tell my big brother Debo on you, and you don't want to give my props. This man is not even understanding law. The other guy, the big forehead dude that was part of that, he left because he understands it. He realized it. I gotta separate. You're gonna see more people like in the last administration. They're gonna start quitting. And right now, for now, you can only put yourself to need someone like Donald Trump for too long. You cannot. You can't serve. You can't serve on your knees for too long when it starts to hurt and your back, and then your lips, get chapped. If you are any kind of real man and have some self-respect for yourself, many of them don't. Eventually, there's a little conscience in you, like a guy like Marco Rubio. You're a proud Cuban man. And I know there's a little conscience. There's your Arguello saying to you, say, Mita, you just, what are you doing? No, people, no. This is as bad as Castro, and we got away from that. I've seen some stuff. He's doing it. After a while, it's something. It's eating away at him. You can see it. The light in his eyes down. That thing with Zelensky when they were in the White House and how they attacked him. And then he's just, after a while, if he doesn't quit by the end of this year, he's going to quit by the middle of next year. He's just staying on just long enough, but he's going to be done. Yeah, because they talk about Bill Clinton. Here's the thing about Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, if you know about Billy Jack, he likes women, but not little girls. Most of them he cheated on, from Jennifer Flowers to the other chick, were mostly grown women. From Monica Lewinsky was probably the youngest person he messed with because she was in her 20s. He was just, little, that's it. Nothing more than that. Yeah, because you remember, so I think you see that thing where he's in there 5,300 times. Bill Clinton was 1,000 times, but the other thing, Jeffrey Epstein was a big supporter of liberals and Democrats. He posted like, he gives money to those things, and people didn't know about what he did because he was a fundraiser. That's why he's in the files. Yes, he went to there's that list. People like a lot of celebrities. Joan Rivers is on the list when we went to Ireland. Joan Rivers, you know, Joan Rivers. Can we talk? A lot of celebrities. Michael Jackson. Everybody was on Chris Tucker's back because you took a picture where he was sitting on the other side of Epstein, and a picture with that woman that he just put on furlough. But he was a big celebrity at the time. He blew up right after Friday. He did Rush Hour movies. He wasn't a friendly guy. He was just a celebrity hanging out because this guy, like just like Trump, they like to ingratiate themselves on celebrities. Like you saw pictures of Trump shaking hands with Spike Lee, hugging Oprah Winfrey, because they were celebrities. There was rappers who talk about Trump, like Jay-Z. He put in his rap songs. But now many of them say, you know what? We didn't know. Says MJ is not in the files. Oh, yeah, Michael, here's the thing about Michael. You know that the movie coming out about him, his nephew's going to play him. You got Nina Long playing his mama, and you got another guy playing Joe. Michael grew up, by the time he was 5 years old, entertaining, doing this, he had a childhood. And he's just like any celebrity. Michael was the biggest celebrity at the time. This guy was a big real estate agent, know a lot of people, he hanged out with them, You see, Obama was in the files. But the reason why Clinton was there because, and you hear the thing about Epstein, he was a racist. He didn't like, it's one thing. What saved a lot of our little black girls because they didn't want black girls. So racism saved a lot of young black girls from being victims of molestation. Thank you, Melody. Thank you. And thank you, racism, for saving our little girls from this man. I know this man probably want to have some little black girls, but he didn't want them around. That saved a lot of them. It did. I feel bad for the little young white girls who were victims of it, who are now grown white women now, and have to deal with this. Some of them could never really have a true relationship with a man or anybody, and then sometimes, just that's the tough part about it. If you ever heard stories like I used to watch Law and Order SVU, and some of that stuff is based on true stories from police reports and evidence. Law and Order is always based on this episodes based on cases that happen out there. And stranger danger factor of it. That's just a myth. More often than enough, it's usually somebody like the situation with that first time that case with Michael Jackson. Come to find out, they said the boy knew who it was. I believe it was a family member or somebody who was close to him. The only reason why I sued Michael because Michael had a lot of money, and Michael's lawyers and his advisors said, like, let's go ahead and just file a lawsuit and give him an MDA, which is they can't discuss anything. And then that second came out, the second case came out. He said, like, you know what? I'm not going to do that again. I'm not have people looking strange at me. I'm going to fight it. And there was no evidence. Even the FBI research, they found no kiddie porn on Michael's social media or even on his computers. Jared from Subway got busted. Remember him? The fact guy used to walk from his house to Subway and they made him the big sponsor person. He got busted. There was more evidence than him, finding, kiddie porn and stuff like that on his computer. Michael, never. Michael and Prince, two different people, different styles, different bring up. And that's why I bring up Prince, because Prince, that was the man, love his music, can't believe it. In April, it's going to be 10 years since he passed. And it's going to be nearly 17 years since Michael. Those were great artists. Those men were two different, two sides of the same coin. Upbringing is just about like middle class, family, and just still listen to music today. Using my reels, they were, they're gonna miss, I would trade one, if we can get one day back of Michael and Prince, we'll trade a lifetime of Donald Trump for that. That's the thing is, Do you see what news is doing with the Nancy Guthrie story? They're trying to distract from this. Well, I wasn't paying attention to that. That's something. Whatever's going on with that, that's a mess. I'm not paying attention to it. That's again a situation of more like white people mess need to handle that. If it's something that affects me in a way, especially as a black person, I would pay attention to it. Or any kind of who's a minority. But other than that, that's a mess that I'm not gonna get into it. Whatever it is, it sounds like I don't know, either whatever she did or her mom did or something. Don't know. Once it gets cleared up, If she comes back home, that's good. Or whatever. So I'm not really paying attention to it much at all. So seeing stuff here and there. I'm aware of it, but I haven't really paid attention to it. I talk about stuff that really affects me more than anything. So. But you have to be like things. Doing this content, especially the content maker, you have to be aware of what's going on in the world. My man Ixie, he's where check out his channel. Get my man Ixie back to monetization. I'm not monetized because I think you have to pay to get monetized. I got but I enjoy talking about this stuff every now and then because I live in this country. I've been me Ixie. We have been part of this country for over 400 years. Kale, no offense to you, brother, your family only had been afoot for maybe a few years. But we have been part of this country for centuries. And we've seen the ups, the downs, the woes, the good times, the bad times. We watch, grew up watching shows like Good Times. When they killed James Evans, damn. That was the greatest TV dad. He is someone I wish my dad was, James Evans. Good with Uncle Phil. We're good with George Jefferson. Carl Winslow. Those were the dads I think we had said. But I would say we all take a piece from men in our lives to become a better person. Nah, I do not want to. I don't want it no more. Don't worry about it. That's cool. But you know what? Do what you're doing. Keep doing your work. I always support you. Wednesdays you got to come back on for a little thing. It's been a while. We need to set up something for some MMA talk. Talk about the entire Silver Girl. You think she had a chance to get Valentina, or she's gonna get mollywopped? I think she's gonna get killed. She's gonna be like she be like she be like that first fight between Carl Lang and Rocky Balboa. But nope. She's done. She's cooked. I think Valentina should think about retirement. Who else after that? Who else gonna be another fight with Manon? Another fight with Manon, or who would we want to see fight Erin Blanchfield? Erin Blanchfield like somebody's little sister. It'd be funny. Stop beating up my little sister. No, I think if she beats Talia and Blanchfield, I know she'll want to do it, but I think the Bullet should really think about retirement. I think she really should. I mean, love the Bullet, fan of hers. My man Coach has, she's that person really. She comes from, her background is very, I think she's also a person, because, Valentina, she lived in Peru for a long time. And I think her Spanish is pretty good. I think she would make a great, working fights as a translator or something like that. Or to training, I don't think she has that mentality for a coach, maybe. Probably have a plan. But I think after these next two fights, I think she should consider retirement because, what's point of fighting either someone like Blanchfield, either fighting Manon again or fighting what's the face? No, she had fought Nunes for a 1-1 contender to fight Harris because Harris is going to be out for a while. Yes, and also one thing they should do is I know they're never going to do it. Open back 145. Harris is a big girl. I mean, I think her body's going through a lot, especially, I think, they should do that. Make it go ahead. They do it quite often. Vacate her title. Strip the title for it and have a title fight for who's going to fight for the new title. Don't do a fight for number contender. Vacate, because it's along, a neck injury. Remember Rose, her neck injury, it took her forever to get right. She still has issue. And look what happened with Uh, what's the face? She keep getting injured. God, you know what I'm talking about? XA. She's cute. You know, um, she came back. She fought what's the face? Um, you know, she's like Jean, and Jean beat her like a dog. You know, Tatiana Suarez. Yeah. You know, I think Tasha was probably somebody else. I forgot who. You remember it. But yeah, Eileen Perez, nah. You know, she's shaking her booty. You know, she's nah. I think no one probably beat her. Let her fight either. You let her fight Yana Santos. Let Perez fight Yana Santos. They can probably see who will be next number one contender. Santos versus Perez. They fight for the next contender. Norma Demont and Nunes for the title. That makes sense. You know, no point. You know, because and then they should go ahead and go back 145, push Chelsea Chandler up there. You know, Macy Chiasson, and also have the title open for what's the face? Yeah, she fight Macy soon. Oh, what's the point in fighting Macy? Just let fight Norma or fight Yana, because Macy beat Macy got beat by Yana Santos. It makes more sense for her to fight Santos. Skip over Macy Chiasson. Let Macy Chiasson fight either Caitlin Vieira or fight Aldine Irene Aldana. One of those two. She's going down. You might just cut her or open 145, which you're never going to do, which you should do. Open 145, bring in atomweight. We expand the women's division. You get the small women, coaches of that third person might have a title shot. Lupe Gutierrez, Lupe's, we don't much, because she's on a bigger high school now, Lupe. So Lupe might get a title shot at McDonald's Bern, big booty tootie. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of McKinsey. I just seen the Bad Bunny September. I can't say for people in Spanish. Yeah. I would say, yeah. Learn a little. Because again, people, that's the one thing about white people feel. They feel like, we're going to be, you're still the majority in this world. In this country, you're not the majority of the world. You're the majority of this country here. You make up just about 50% of it. My people, excess people, I might throw KL into it. He's African American, but the rest of us make up 13-14% of this population. And we get 50% of the blame of the shit going on. Even though we hadn't done shit. How much we contribute to this country. Be it from Somalia, be it from Kenya, be it from Nigeria, be it from whatever, Jamaica, Haiti, we come here, we contribute, being us, we contribute to this country because we want to be countries. Like, basically like this. I love quote movies. It's from the scene from Rambo. It says, I want what they want. I want my country to love it as much as I love me, as much as I love it. That's what we want. We want this country to love us as much as we love it. But the problem is, it's never really going to need love. No matter how much we want to ask for it. And we fight for it. And we keep saying, hey, pull yourself by bootstraps. How do you pull yourself? We keep cutting the bootstraps. We keep changing the goalposts. You people out there have a way of at least 3 decades head start. And we're still trying to catch up. And you don't like the idea when we do catch up and you say like, oh, so I give you a leg up. Why not? You had it for most of your life. So why not we get advantage of it? So whoever becomes the next president, be it Newsom, be it Harris, y'all got to do some stuff. You have to, one thing, you have to, dissolve ICE. Because ICE is not new. ICE has only been around for about 20-some years. It started right after during the Bush administration, a little bit after the First Gulf War, and also right after 9/11. People going to have to issue because it's not English and it won't be much of American. But the thing is, there's only a handful of countries that speak English. Canada, us, Great Britain, the UK. Generally, other countries speak other languages. And especially if you go down further past the other side of the border, south of the border, that's all that is Latin, Spanish, Brazilian. You know, the, America is one of the few countries that, other than, like I said again, Great Britain and Australia, a couple others, where English is it's not a language, it's not the main language, but it's the language that they know. That when this country was where the Native Americans were living here, they had different tribes, different languages, but then here comes a white man coming in, and it wasn't enough just to share the land with the people. They want to take it over and say it was a manifesto of us, of God, to take over, and you push them out. Native Americans are barely in this country, 1 to 2%. I interviewed two ladies who are body movers who are Native Americans, and that is Jennifer Childress and just this past weekend, Kelly Lockett, beautifully. Kelly, wow, she's gonna make a pro debut in Atlanta. So you find of being it's something else that you find of being it something else. What brother? I don't know. Brother. You talk about my language. You need to work on it. Maybe you sit too much African. You find, you need to work on your spell check, brother. But the thing is, there's never going to be a perfect solution in anything. You try to look for perfection, especially human beings, you're not going to find it. You're going to fail. Perfection is impossible for us. We are imperfect creatures. We make mistakes. Even God wasn't so perfect because, you know what? He let the devil take over heaven after he slept. And look what he did. There are things out there in this world that we have to be aware of. We can't bury it. Sometimes we can turn a blind eye every now and then, but eventually it will affect us. Eventually, if we have any kind of moral being or any kind of upright citizen ideals, eventually it's going to say, you know what? I just can't turn a blind eye and not say nothing. Yes, you can. Sometimes you can close your mouth about it. But then after a while, you say stuff. Enough's enough. Like Popeye, I always can say, and I can't stand no more. Yeah, I'm saying you are fine of America turning into another country. What other country? What other country? What other country we turn into? This country's been like this for years. Again, I mind you, brother, even though you were born here, you're still wet from the tits from Africa. I was born here, and I had people who told me and seen this stuff. You can shake your head. Yeah. You can. That's what I tell you. But I grew up, so again, family grew up as sharecroppers. Before that, slaves. This country has done shit. You can talk about Russia like that, but at least they try to help their people as much as they can. But it's up to whoever's leading the country how it goes. And when you have a leader that is full of shit, that's a failure. The man couldn't even run casinos. And casinos is where you make money. How can you bankrupt casinos? Tell me that. You got to be. He's mentally challenged. He has people doing his work for him, but once he gets his hands into it, he messes up. He's not a skilled businessman. His daddy did all the hard work, and he burnt it out. And now you get other people who's doing the work for him and taking credit. This country's always been like that. It's just that it's kind of like it's been undercover. But now, with him as president, it's peeling back those things that's been there for years. There's a movie. It's a racist movie called the Story of America, where a story of black men being treated called animals, Klan man chasing after them. They played it at the White House about 100 years ago. I think the president at the time was either Woodrow Wilson or Calvin Coolidge. I forgot which one. But they played it in the White House. Even FDR, who was probably one of the best presidents, had his races because you know what, he wanted to bring in certain groups that had because he didn't fight more for civil rights. His wife, I don't know what Roosevelt did. She was a good woman. She loved her husband. She supported him, but she also fought against that shit. Her husband did enough for because he was trying to console and kiss ass to the certain, especially the racists in the South that were part of his party. And many of those racists went in the Republican Party, and we formatted that party. Just like I had a conversation with a lady who's a bodybuilder. She was doing bodybuilding for a long time. We were cutting down shows. She went down to women's physique, and now the reason why that division is looking like that because of the reformatting of that division comes from another division because they needed somewhere to go. Yeah, they went there for a while, but then they still had those aesthetics for women's bodybuilding. Or they just changed their posing. They dropped some muscle, but still, like we talk about how, again, I don't want to get too much in women's bodybuilding, but we talk about how we look at someone like Christy Mendoza. As she said, she's moving down to wellness. She next year shouldn't be her debut. She needs to take 2 or 3 years off to drop a lot of that muscle density, to change her workout. She does have the quads, but not as compared to someone in those divisions. And she has that advantage because she's Cuban. The Latina girls do well in that division, but she has to drop a lot of muscle. Even when Shanique Grant came back, she still, even though she hadn't competed for nearly 5 years, she still has some of those aesthetics that she brought in as being figure and being a physique competitor, being a 2-time Olympia physique champion. Things change and happen, and we see it when you try to implement ideas that were old-fashioned because you thought it was a good idea back then, but it didn't work. Again, like trickle-down economics, where you give rich people more and the people at the bottom less. Here's the thing: when you get the people at the bottom more, it goes up to the people on top. If the people on top pay more taxes, what it does, it helps the people on the bottom. It takes the stress off our shoulders. If like what Kamala was wanting to do, what she wanted to bring in ideas to help like people with families, increasing your this year's tax time. People, you file your taxes. When you have kids, you get a little more money for child care, and a little more this and a little this. If you fix up a house, you get little benefits from that. And they stop that shit because they didn't want that to happen because that goes to you in your pocket, not to theirs. And then they have to pay more taxes. You make more, you pay more. You shouldn't get a tax break. You got enough money. It's not like if you were like one of these billionaires, you got umpteen houses. What do you need umpteen houses for? Maybe yes, you need a place you want to stay. You can afford to stay in a motel. You can rent a whole motel, a whole building, and stay there for a few days. You want to travel, you can travel here and there. You can rent a place. You don't need to own it. You have your house you own. We go stay, do like that. But you know what? You're just trying to front show up. Somebody like Gates has respect for you. The guy, one of these guys who create social media platforms like Facebook and IG, some of them take advantage of this. Once he's gone, they can't advance so long. And they can't be able to kiss you behind this next person because I saw what you are, I saw what you did, and how you bend yourself down to a practical dictator. So because you can get what you want. No, I want nothing to do with you. We're coming after you, coming after your pockets. We're gonna do like Debo, boom, and like pat you down. My go chain punk. That's what's gonna happen. They know it. Right now, that's why they're trying to get as much as they can while they can, because they know what's going to come right here. And also the midterms is this year. And he's trying to stop people from voting. He's trying to tell people you can't do in like Mama used to do this. She could do mail in her vote when she wanted to vote because she was handicapped. She can't out too much. They're going to have people who, you know what, they're going to defy that. They're going to say, you know what, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to, the thing is, this is not like it used to be. You can't, because people saw this happen in history. You can't try to do the same playbook you did in the past because people are now a little bit more mindful. There's some people who are not as smart or just a bit ignorant, but more people are mindful and they are aware of what's going on. With common sense, more people should have it. Some people don't have no common sense, they're more than a goat. But if you're mad at me, you don't like my stuff, then get off my screen. Get off my plane. Forget you. Be mad. Because you know what? I said this. Your energy, your hate, it fuels me. It gives me energy. I need it. Because I love it. I'm like Kurt Douglas in the movie The Vikings, when Tony Curtis says, Eric, I'm your brother. I love you. I don't want your love. I'd rather have your hate. That's what it is. Because you know what? And love is just important. My brother love. I love you, brother. But you know what? Sometimes not love for everybody. But you know what? You waste that time you hate and using my energy. You inspire me to do more, to want more, and to prove more. The quote from my great man Naruto Uzumaki. You know, people thought I was a failure. I'll prove them wrong. That's what I want to do. My man XA, my man KL. We got to prove these people wrong. Yeah, KL, we're going to have a little fight because we're brothers. You know, we're going to have a little fight. We're brothers. But I whoop your ass if I see you. But we're brothers. We not be the same mother, same father. We're brothers of the same skin. And you're family from a place where my people are from. We may not have, I have a genetic connection to Africa, but I'm not African American. I am Black American. Bad Bunny, he also has a little bit of that DNA in him. We are the people that really, fashion to music to entertainment. We really change things. We get into it. Yeah, white people have that stuff. I'm not saying everybody contributes stuff, but really, Black people have always been innovators. But people that support, this shit like that mess that they had with Kid Rock or the stuff that Donald Trump, we're gonna have to do like Dave Chappelle. We're gonna have a race trade. We have to racial draft. We like trade Nicki Minaj for first draft pick. I'm trying to think of who we want to trade Nicki Minaj for. How about she's not white. She's shit. Who we want to trade Nicki Minaj for? A singer. How about we trade? She's British, but she's white. So we trade Nicki Minaj for Adele. y'all can keep. We want Adele. We trade for Adele for Nicki Minaj. Hello, how are you? And she's with a brother, so that works. Nicki Minaj is from not even American. She's from Trinidad, and she's trying to do stuff because she's afraid of getting deported. Cardi B is more American because she's actually born here in America. She's an American citizen. I like Cardi B music. She's sexy. She used to be a stripper. I remember she used to be on that show, Love and Hip Hop New York. I know she has issues, but there's videos where say Bronx. She's from the Bronx, and that Bronx, meow. We're just offset. Sometimes they get once a gut that woman says, God damn, oh God, she got me. Oh God, she'd be like, you go in there thinking like you're the man, then you sit in the bed crying. You ever had some fellas? I don't know about you, XL. You ever had some that it just got you like you were like in the bed like. And it's been a long time since I touched the lady. It get you cockeyed and get your legs crossed. You're like, yeah. But again, folks, we all play a part in this country. We all contribute something. And again, I gotta respect what Bad Bunny. Like I said, I'm not a big fan, but some of the stuff I heard his music there is pretty good. But we're going to have to go through some hell before we get to heaven. I feel like this. After this mess, it's going to be a golden age. And I hope, like I said, I'm 51 right now. I hope and I pray I can live to see that. I want to see it because, my youngest great niece is 6 years old today. 6 months. She keep going. I have not seen it yet. On since pictures and stuff. I would love to see it. My nephew bring him. My nephew bring to the house. I say, give him the baby. I don't care about you. Shut the door in his face, his white face, and hold the baby. I just want to hold the baby. We just want to hold the baby. It's been a long time since I hold one of them. It's been a long time since I hold the baby. Yeah. I got to hug his. When I was spending Christmas, my sister got hugged by his 3 other children. I hadn't seen them since a long time. They grown. Like I said, I grew up with a family with a lot of children that were around every time, nieces and nephews. Now they grow and have their own lives. Get out to them. I think maybe Wednesday I go see Junior's game maybe one day when I get a chance. Maybe get out of the house. Say, who's that? Say, oh, that's my great uncle. I say, Uncle Joe, what are you doing here? I said, well, boy, I'm just sitting around the house, not doing nothing. Your uncle, your uncle, his, his father's brother didn't tell me, so I just came out here and said, oh, my sister, your grandmother, I just want to see you, And he plays football. I said, you made me think of. I said, boy, I'm proud of you. You made me think of your great Uncle James. He would love this. He would love seeing one of, even though your last name McCollum, you're MacArthur. Like I told my other nephew, you may not be, your name might not say MacArthur, but you are a MacArthur man. I take that pride. That's my name. I wish I had children of my own so I can give them that, but not everybody meant to be a father. You know, I had my dear sister tell me, you should be a father. I'm too late now. Maybe when I was a younger man, I had the energy for it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. But being a parent can age you. My gray's slowly coming in. I know guys who my age right now who are jet white. So, brothers, I appreciate y'all coming through. Congratulations to Bad Bunny. You did a good thing, brother. I mean, I didn't watch it. I've seen clips here and there. It's pretty good. I might watch some on YouTube later and check it out. But congratulations, young man. And people out there who hate it, hate TK, hate Nova. That's all you got. You hate. But you know what? Your hate is energy. And hate is stronger. And what's stronger than hate is love, like he said. Love. You love your fellow man. You respect that person. You don't have to like it. Like I talk about certain bodybuilders, I don't have to like them. I don't have to love them, but I can respect them. Just saw a lady who was like in a situation like right now. She's coming out the hole. I don't have to like her. I don't have to love her, but I respect what she does. So, folks, like I said, it's Monday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We got next weekend is Valentine's Day. Ha, put. If you want to come by later around about 10 o'clock, me and my man my man KL gonna have a little fun. I know you ladies, you respect me, but at the same time, ladies, you know me. I'm a muscle person. I can't tell it the outside on me. I can be the good guy, but sometimes I like being the villain. I'm out, Paige. Thank you for the stream. No, brother, thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. One of the days, I might need to go to Boston and visit my little brother XA. I'm planning on going to the show. I won't announce it till later. I'm planning on going up north because you know what? I've been to Savannah. I've been to Tampa. I want to go up north. There's only particularly one show up north that within my timeline. And here's my guidelines here. No offense to these other shows. If you have women's bodybuilding, I will go to your show. If not, I'm not wasting time. I might change that later down the road. I would love to go to Chicago, but right now that I have it, maybe I might have it back in next year. Maybe Arizona. I would love to Tupelo, but I don't have the funds. If I had the funds right here now, I can go do it. I would go to it. Also, I might even think about because instead again, Puerto Rico is United States territory. Out on your passport, they do have women's bodybuilding for the Masters, and maybe the future might have it for the Open. I had a pleasure of interviewing, with Shella Boswell, and also meeting her. And that was the year she won last time she won in Vancouver, the Puerto Rico Pro, and and also right now women's bodybuilding have a little thing setting up to try to get promotion, talk to more women out there. Just support that. And also support anybody who really wants to see our country do better. Vote for the right people and put them to the fire. Say, hey, don't be wishy-washy. Don't change your mind on something. Don't be a kiss ass. Don't be this. We put you in because we want you to work for us. Don't work for this guy because he has a lot of money. In fact, he don't care about you. You should care about us as much as we care about you. So shout out to my man XJ coming through. Shout out to my man KF coming through. Shout out who watched this live stream. I appreciate your support. Shout out to Bad Bunny. We had a great show. Chris Rock. I keep on saying Chris Rock. So Kid Rock, your show was garbage. It was straight trash. And that one dude, the country rapper. You brother, you stick. Like it says, shoemaker, stick to your profession. So, folks, thank you again. Catch us later this afternoon. Have a little discussion and talk about the lovely, beautiful Black sisters of muscle. It's still Black History Month. I want to dedicate that to them. and then we work with some other stuff. And let me know if you have subjects, especially for Muscle Talk Monday, because sometimes with no shows going on, it's kind of dry a bit. I'm trying to find stuff to talk about. We don't have anything for the next couple months. We might even talk about the Ultimate Classic. Excuse me. Hot point. I don't care much about it, but my man David's going to be there. Shout out to him. I hope he enjoyed that. He's also going to New York Pro. I'm sure a lot of things to go back to, but see Weinberg's not winning bodybuilding, so it's off my list. So but appreciate y'all posting, listening, and thank you for your time. Jamal always your page. Don't like, subscribe. I am out.